April 2nd, 3:11 PM, Zodiac Art Gallery Fountain Patio. Hello everyone, Triple S back here some more History Investigations Miles Edgeworth Prosecutor's Path. It has been about 3 months since I last recorded anything. I kind of just gave up on YouTube videos, really, but I figured I might as well finish this game and then stop making videos because this is like one of the few games that I haven't finished, and I want to have all the Ace games on my channel, so I might as well keep playing. And this is the last part of the Inherited Turnabout. So it was kind of bad for me to leave at least this case not finished. Man, I could have finished this case and then stopped playing the game with only 2 cases left, but you know, I'll finish the game. So let's go. Miss Hall, have you composed yourself? Yes. What you did, no matter the reason, was unforgivable. Yes, I know. Also, if I was doing any voices before, I've forgotten what voices I was doing, so I apologise if it's different. However, you committed this crime in order to prove Mr. Master's innocence. If the true culprit is someone else, we have a duty to reinvestigate. God damn it. Why? No false evidence from the I-7 incident remains in the official case files. Moreover, there is no evidence to lend credence to Miss Hall's testimony. We should first arrest Miss Hall as the culprit behind today's incident. We cannot be certain that all the case files are accurate. After all, the prosecutor in the case has a history of forging evidence. Are you suggesting that the PIC overlooked such a prosecutor? That's none of my concern. The truth is that evidence was falsified. And the fact that Dover's body from 18 years ago was just discovered proves it. Yeah, take that. Prosecutor Edgeworth, I can see remnants of Prosecutor Von Karma within you. What did you say? You tried to deceive the PIC and fabricate the truth. Let me inform you of my, or rather the PIC's, logic. Oh, here we go. The PIC's logic. I acknowledge that Prosecutor Von Karma fabricated the information about the body. However, he successfully convicted Mr. Master as an accomplice. I believe that the true culprit was Miss Curator herself. She even attempted to murder Mr. Gustavia today in order to pin the blame on him. Is that really what the PIC believes? Yes, every word I utter is for the sake of law and order. It seems she intends to hide the truth for the sake of the PIC. At this rate, neither Mr. Master nor Miss Hall will be saved. Rebuttal. Okay, so we're gonna go to... She even attempted to murder Mr. Gustavia today. Where is it? Press. If she wanted to pin the crime on somebody, why choose Mr. Gustavia? Perhaps Mr. Gustavia suspected Miss Hall was the criminal, as he attempted to confirm whether or not the Gemini sculpture was genuine. He was caught in a trap meant to silence him forever. Can you prove that theory? Mr. Gustavia is currently teetering on the brink of death. There's probably no way to prove it unless he regains consciousness. In other words, there is nothing we can do for now. That can't be true. There must still be something we can do. You still don't get it, do you? Allow me to give you a clearer explanation. We already have ample evidence for both the IS-7 incident and today's poison gas incident. There is no need to investigate any further. For that, we present... Oh god, I can't remember where the court record stuff is now. What am I looking for here? There it is, liquid analysis results. There is still one piece of evidence from the I-7 incident that remains unsettled. Take a look at this. This is the forensics results from the Gemini sculpture that melted in the Winter Palace. According to the results of the analysis, traces of someone's blood were found. Who does this blood belong to? Until we know the answer, this case is still open. There was blood mixed in with the remains of the Gemini sculpture. I heard nothing of this from Sebastian. This was a report from Detective Gumshoe. I had planned to tell Mr. DeBest myself. Huh. So even though you had no investigative authority, you still did as you please. I shall report everything that had transpired today to the PIC. I will not avert my eyes from the truth, nor shall I overlook the mistakes of the past. If you wish to report my actions to the PIC, be my guest. In exchange, I want you to let me investigate this case to the very end. It is not my place to decide such things. I must ask that you check with Sebastian regarding this matter. Hey, good news, you guys! Thanks to our early detection, Mr. Gustavia's life was saved. Mr. Gustavia? So, he's alive. Would you be the ones who saved my life? Hey, Mr. Gustavia. You are Sir Assistant, are you not? You've grown so big. This time, this one is your assistant then. No, I'm... He's an assistant candidate, and Gregory Edgeworth's son. I am Miles Edgeworth, a prosecutor. What a twist of fate. I'm in your debt. It is thanks to you that I have completely recovered. There's no need for thanks. Since you're alive, we can reach the truth behind the incident 18 years ago. What do you speak of? While you're unconscious, the truth has started to come to light. You may be Isaac Dover's murderer. What? Really? Miss Hall was looking for the criminal behind the events of 18 years ago. That's why she set up the poison gas in the Pisces case. Mr. Gustavia, the events of the incident 18 years ago. Tell us what really happened. So you wish to remain silent? I think he's just meditating. He can sleep standing up. What a useful skill to have. Meditation is different from sleeping, though. Miss Gustavia, please tell us what you did 18 years ago. No. I'm the criminal because I fell for the trap. That's not a very funny joke. I'm a victim, not a culprit. Mr. Gustavia, it has not yet been made clear whether or not you are the criminal. This is only their baseless speculation. Do not concern yourself with the drivel of a prosecutor without jurisdiction. At least there is one person here who understands. My name is Justine Courtney. I am a judge. If you would like, I would be happy to assist you. Let us show Prosecutor Edgeworth the truth of 18 years ago. Understood. I shall prove my innocence to you, Sir Prosecutor. Judge Courtney, is that your answer? Do you intend to bury the truth of the I-7 incident before it can be brought to light? I merely believe in the judgments of the goddess of law. Ultimately, those who render judgments are only human. As long as humans control the law, there is no guarantee that every verdict is correct. If you are going to help conceal the truth, I will not hold back. I'm looking forward to it. Lady Justine, what should I do now? You are being suspected because you set off the poison gas. Can you tell us the reason why you opened the Pisces case? Understood. I came to see Sir Dover's works from 18 years ago. However, I accidentally entered the museum a half hour before it opened. Miss Hall, there was nobody at the entrance, correct? Since I thought the criminal from 18 years ago might be coming, I had no security guards in place. I didn't even lock the doors. I was very busy with opening preparations, so there was nobody on the first floor. In addition, I locked every palace door aside from the autumn one. I see. This must have been done in order to lure the criminal to the Autumn Palace, which is why he ended up entering the Autumn Palace. So it's suspicious that he snuck into the museum in the first place. The gallery should remain silent. Unless you have evidence that can prove his testimony false, I will not allow any objections. Gallery? This isn't even a courtroom. Now then, why did you open the Pisces case? I wish to view Sir Dover's handiwork up close. The Gemini sculpture? No, it was actually the Pisces, wasn't it? The lid had been frozen shut, so I borrowed a burner to open it. But as soon as I opened the lid, poison gas began pouring out. That's quite a convenient testimony. Sounds like a total lie, doesn't it? There are parts of Mr. Gustavia's testimony that I have issues with as well. However, there is no evidence to disprove it. But that's... Would it not make sense for suspicion to fall on Lady Catherine before myself? She may have intended to release the poison gas haphazardly. Objection. Kate turned on the sprinklers as soon as the gas was released. She was specifically targeting the person who triggered the trap. Mr. Gustavia, you were her only target. You are willing to accept the words of this criminal as the truth? Miss Hall must atone for her crimes. However, the same can be said for the criminal from 18 years ago. So, Prosecutor, it seems you wish to suspect me to the bitter end. However, I had no reason to murder Sir Dover. If there is no evidence to suggest that I killed him, you cannot suspect me. Miss Edgeworth, can't you prove that Mr. Gustavia is the criminal? All we know for sure is that Mr. Gustavia fell victim to the poison gas. No matter how strange his behaviour was, it won't prove he committed the murder. But that's... Mr. Shields, is there nothing we can do? Well, if there isn't any evidence, we should try reorganising the facts. If Mr. Gustavia was the one who killed Mr. Dover, there must have been a motive. Motive? Because, Mr. Gustavia himself is denying that such a motive exists. Motive for the murder, Gustavia claims he has no motive to murder Dover. Logic added. It's not easy to take another person's life. 18 years ago, your old man also discussed motive with Prosecutor von Karma. You claim their collaboration is irrelevant. If Mr. Gustavia and Mr. Dover's relationship had turned sour... Partnership turned sour. Gustavia helped Dover with his finals dessert, but Dover didn't help. Logic added. It could serve as a motive for murder. We couldn't talk with Mr. Gustavia 18 years ago, but this time things are different. If we connect everything we've learned so far, the truth might be revealed. Yep, I suppose so. It seems I must re-examine the information from 18 years ago. I must recall all the details that have remained unexplained. So, the gloved finger marks on the picture frame was your doing? Delicia denied leaving the finger marks on the frame. If they were left by Mr. Gustavia, he may have been trying to view the Angel's recipe. Was Angel's recipe his goal? Was Gustavia's goal to view the Angel's recipe? Logic added. Monshon Master asked me to change the film in the camera. It seemed the film he prepared in advance wasn't enough. There wasn't enough film? It seems the number of photos he took didn't match up with the amount of film remaining. Remaining film. The amount of film in the camera decreased. Did someone use it? Logic added. Well, he told me himself it might have been just a mistake, though. The information my father collected 18 years ago was certainly not for naught. If there is no evidence, then I shall use logic to reveal the truth. Logic time! Okay, so we do motive for murder with partnership turned sour. Connect. Mr. Gustavia, you collaborated with the victim Isaac Dover to create your desserts, didn't you? Oh, it seems you know about my secrets. Mr. Shields told me about it. Mr. Dover handled the design while you were in charge of the taste. Is that correct? Back then my training had been insufficient. It seems you worked together through the semi-finals, but not during the finals. Why is that? We both wish to compete in the finals against Sir Master on our own merits. You must have also helped with Isaac Dover's desserts even during the finals. What makes you able to declare something like that? Didn't you tell Prosecutor on camera about it yourself 18 years ago? That you cooperated until the day before the finals? The sculptures in Mr. Dover's room were all made out of sherbet. Such an amount would most likely need to be left overnight to freeze, which means Mr. Gustavio prepared Mr. Dover's sherbet in advance the day before. That's right, so you realise Gustavio's cooperation ended the day before the finals. Then why did Mr. Dover not help Mr. Gustavio in return? The views of the dead are of no concern to me. Why did Isaac Dover not help you in return? If there is a reason why your partnership with Isaac Dover broke down, that will be a motive for murder. That could be a possibility. However, Sir Dover and I ended our partnership peacefully. A peaceful breakup? That's hard to imagine. Not to mention, it's absurd to think that I killed Sir Dover in Sir Master's room. I couldn't have killed Sir Dover while Sir Master was also there, making his desserts. Timing of Dover's murder. Gustavio could not have murdered Dover while Master was in the room. Logic added. In other words, there is no way I could have committed the murder. That's not true. If there was a moment when Mr. Master was absent from the room, I could prove that it was possible for Mr. Gustavio to commit the murder. Back to logic time. The remaining film with Was Angel Recipe's goal, he took pictures of the recipe. Assumedly. If he had photographed the contents of the Angel's recipe, he wouldn't need to steal it. Perhaps Mr. Gustavio used Mr. Master's camera to take the pictures. If he'd stolen the actual recipe book, the police would have found out. I see. Pictures, eh? The problem is the time at which he entered Mr. Master's room. Mr. Gustavio could have moved around freely during the afternoon tea, right? Because it seems both him and Mr. Dover did not participate in the afternoon tea. Afternoon tea. Dover and Gustavio did not participate in the afternoon tea. Afternoon tea. Logic added. How many times do I have to say that? If I remember correctly, the only time we can prove that Dover was still alive is... The victim was not seen as he had stayed locked up in his room after the contest had begun. The only one who could have unlocked the locked rooms was Jeff Master. Was Master's desserts all that you ate? Actually, no. After the afternoon tea, I also ate Icy's desserts. After the contest began, Isaac Dover was locked up in his room. If we assume he was killed at some point before Delicia snuck into his room, then there is a high chance that he was killed before the afternoon tea was over. Back to logic, with the only two we have left. Afternoon tea and the timing of Dover's murder connect. Isaac Dover was alive up until the afternoon tea began. Ergo, that is the only time when Gustavio could have killed Dover. Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you satisfied? Sorry, but I am far from satisfied. Because I am finally starting to see the truth behind this case. Are you saying you have found some evidence to show us that truth? No, there is no need to present any evidence, since we can just have Miss Gustavio tell us the truth. Ah, so this is where you use that, right? Indeed. Mr. Gustavio, there is one thing I want you to tell me. Okay. Why do we need that? I said, Mr. Gustavio, there is one thing I want you to tell me. No! What is it? During the finals of the contest, you made your desserts on your own. I wanted to compete for the title of the world's greatest pastry chef on my own merits. If that was truly the case, you would have competed on your own merits from the start. I want you to tell me why it was necessary for you to cooperate with Isaac Dover. Uh-oh, gonna be logic test time. During the contest 18 years ago, Mr. Gustavio collaborated with Mr. Dover. Sorry, I was looking at the guide and completely forgot to read. Okay, I'm gonna switch to mouse and keyboard now, so I can click quickly and do my guide goodly. Okay, let's go. I wonder, what made them decide to cooperate in the first place? That's what I need to draw out from him. But... oh, here's a lot of pieces. It seems he pretends to meditate when things aren't going his way. First I'll ask about why he collaborated with Mr. Dover. The truth has been hidden for 18 years. That ends today. Logic chess. Begin! Okay. Why did you decide to collaborate with Isaac Dover? Oops, I'm gonna keep forgetting to do this. There we go. So Dover and I were already acquaintances even before the contest began. Since he was interested in the contest, we simply decided to enter it together. Joining forces with a sculptor. You weren't confident in your own abilities? You know nothing about me. We wanted to make great works together. So Dover's son and my own attended the same elementary school. We all got along well from the start. Really? So were you going to share the title of World's Greatest Pastry Chef together? Uh-oh, he's meditating. Wake up, you silly old goat. As expected, he pretends to meditate when things aren't going his way. Mr. Dover was a sculptor. I doubt he had any interest in the title of the World's Greatest Pastry Chef. In that case, where did his true goal lie? Indeed, my goal was the title of the World's Greatest Pastry Chef. However, Sir Dover's goal was the grand prize, the Angel's Recipe. I see. You cooperated because your interests were aligned. But there must have been a reason why your partnership soured. So, Prosecutor, I am not the victim of a poisoning. If you're going to suspect me in this manner, perhaps I'd better return to the infirmary. Wait a moment. In that case, you should end things soon. I am not a patient man. It seems he's trying to leave. I can't let that happen. He's still hiding something. Next, I should ask him about his true goal. I need to keep the pressure on him, while being cautious at the time. B. I don't know what did that say. Did something. Didn't you have another goal besides the title? The title alone doesn't seem to have much value. How dare the likes of you insult the title of a confectionery artist? My only goal is the title itself. I had no interest in anything else. My dream was to become the world's greatest pastry chef. Wait and see. 18 years ago I was lacking in design sense, however things are different now. Oh, are you saying you have improved at your craft? Exactly. For I have trained at the Republic of Zengfa. Wait and see. Yes, at the time I also studied Mr. Master's works. I would often watch his show with my son. So you were studying Mr. Master's works to improve your own skills. If you had his recipes, perhaps it would have been easier for you to become the world's greatest. Perhaps. To a pastry chef, Sir Master's recipes were worth their weight in gold. Uh-oh. You were interested in his recipes. If becoming the world's greatest pastry chef was your goal, you should have also been interested in the grand prize, the Angel's Recipe. The recipes of the world's greatest pastry chef. I would be lying if I said that I wasn't interested. However, I wouldn't think that simply being interested in would be a problem. I wonder about that. The Angel's Recipe's true nature was not for making desserts but cures. And all the contest participants should have been aware of that. Looks like I'm getting close. He isn't meditating anymore. Now to slowly but surely drive him into a corner. Next, I'll ask what he planned to use the recipe book for. B. Did you intend to make desserts with it? Did you intend to win the Angel's Recipe and use it to make desserts? Of course, if I obtained the Angel's Recipe, I was going to use it in my training. I hear the Angel's Recipe was worth a lot of money. And I don't know the exact details, but that recipe book was much too valuable to be sold. you seem to know a lot about the book. I will give you that. You seem to know quite a lot about the angel's recipe. I didn't break it that time. It was explained to all the contest participants at the beginning of the contest. Huh. In that case, you must know about the recipe book's true nature. It was not a recipe book for desserts at all. Impressive, Sir Prosecutor. So you know the true nature of the angel's recipe. The angel's recipe, some have called it the ultimate recipe book. It contained formulas for new medicines that were not yet on the market. You knew the recipes were actually formulas for new medicines. This could be a useful clue. Did you know the recipe book's value? The angel's recipe, did you know its true value? Silly question. It contained Sir Master's best dessert recipes. Any pastry chef worth their salt will want it. Looks like that clue will come in handy. But you knew what the recipes actually were. You may have studied designing Zheng Fa. However, your skills in lying could use more work. You just said earlier that the angel's recipe contained formulas for medicines. Still didn't break it. You weren't interested in desserts, you wanted the medicine formulas. Oh, goddammit, did you need a new medicine? Hold on. Now why would a pastry chef such as yourself be so interested in medicine? Perhaps what you were really after was the information about the new medicine. There we go, finally broke it. I've underestimated you, Sir Prosecutor. Yes, my goal was more than just the title of the world's greatest pastry chef. At the time, my son was ill. I needed the recipe for the medicine. Your son was ill? Tell me more about that. To protect my son's honour, I can say no more. Judging by the worried look on his face, I must have struck a nerve. Next, I need him to tell me more about his son's illness. It's a bit personal though, really? This is it. This will be my final move of the game. What was your son like? Oops. Hold on. What kind of person was your son? Oh, my boy. My boy. You love the desserts I made. Did you enter the contest solely for your son? So, Prosecutor, you could never understand the feelings a father has for his son. I wanted nothing more than to cure my boy's illness. Wait and see. Yep. Until the semi-finals, my son would always drop by the contest venue to play. Is that so? Wouldn't he get in your way? I thought you had time to care for your son while you were challenging Mr. Master. That may be so, but I wanted to grant my son's wish. He said he always wanted to be the first to eat my desserts. It sounds pretty healthy to me. I don't know about you. About your son, if he was so sick, wouldn't it be difficult for him to come and play with you? I didn't break it. My son's illness, it wasn't life-threatening. That might serve as a clue. C. Did the recipe books have the only cure? Did the angel's recipe have the only cure? Yes, though the medicine is being sold everywhere now. At the time, the recipe book was my one and only option. That's why I continued making my desserts without joining the others for tea time. So you weren't interested in what Mr. Master was making. You sure seem confident in your chances of winning. I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the other contestants' desserts. Sorry, what? You had interest in Mr. Master's works? You just said earlier that you studied Mr. Master's works. In addition, if your goal was to win the contest in order to get the medicine formula, you must have been curious about the other contestants' entries as well. It was time to sample the other desserts during the contest, but none of their entries had any flavour, so I didn't want to eat any of it. No flavour? I suspect I may have been a bit nervous as well. So everything he ate tasted flavourless. This could be a useful clue. What was the name of the illness? What was the name of your son's illness? So, Prosecutor, how insensitive of you. My son was seriously ill. I will not be discussing this with the likes of you. But you just... looks like that clue will come in handy. You just said it wasn't life-threatening. You silly old goat. You told me your son's illness was not life-threatening. If there is really a need to be so secretive about it... It was enough to keep him from living a normal life. That must have been difficult for your son. I tried everything I could to cure his illness. It wasn't fair for the poor boy. He could never taste the desserts he loved so much. Ooh. Was it a taste disorder? There we go. The angel's recipe contains a cure for a certain illness. A remedy that could also cure Mr. Master's taste disorder. What? He had it too? He had it too? I see. So your son suffers from a taste disorder. Oh, I didn't think you'd figure it out so quickly. You just told me it, really. In order to cure your son's taste disorder, you needed the recipe book. Wasn't that your true goal? It is as you say. Based on how he's acted up until now, it appears he is still hiding something. Looks like that clue will come in handy. Don't you also have this disorder? Yeah. Being unable to taste anything regardless of what you eat. Such a bitter illness. That reminds me, didn't you say something similar earlier? None of their entries had any flavour, so I didn't feel like eating any of it, wasn't it? Perhaps your son wasn't the only one who suffered from a taste disorder. Oh, so close. It's hard to imagine being a successful pastry chef without a sense of taste. Perhaps what you really wanted was to cure yourself. That's completely ludicrous. 18 years ago, I made those desserts all by myself. No, you didn't. You collaborated with Mr. Dover. It seems you've caught yourself in a contradiction. Didn't you cooperate with Isaac Dover in the contest? You can hardly say you made the desserts all by yourself. No! You must take great pride in your abilities as a pastry chef, but to betray your pride and cooperate with another contestant. You did it all to cure your own disease. Well done, Sir Prosecutor. It's as you say. The one with the taste disorder is not my son. It is I. No one knew. I've kept it a secret for 18 years. It doesn't matter how long a secret is kept. If you lie before me, I will expose it. Dame Gustavia and Isaac Dover were both trying to obtain the recipes for the new medicines. Gustavia to cure his condition, and Dover most likely to sell the recipe book for money. For this reason, they entered the contest as a collaborative effort. And with that, checkmate. Logic test complete! I've never told this to anyone. Well done. As you say, I developed a taste disorder 18 years ago. Taste disorder? It was a severe disorder. I was unable to discern any flavour at all. It's the one illness a pastry chef dreads above all. Those symptoms sound a bit different from Mr. Master's taste disorder. Mr. Master's condition is known as hypoglycemia. It simply causes a decreased sensitivity to certain specific flavours. I'm sure it has caused Mr. Master much pain too. After all, no medication was available to cure it 18 years ago. In order to cure your taste disorder, you would need Mr. Master's angel recipe. And that's why you entered the contest, am I correct? That was one of my goals, but I still had my sights set on the title of World's Greatest. When it comes to making desserts, I won't lose to anyone. Even without the ability to taste, I still have the utmost confidence in my flavours. Oh? So I presume you also prepared your desserts in the finals with the intent to win. That goes without saying. According to what Mr. Shields told us earlier, the evaluation of Mr. Gustavia's entry was... Up until the semi-finals, Mr. Gustavia's flavours and design were to my liking. Unfortunately, both the taste and appearance of his finals entry left much to be desired. It seems the dessert you made for the finals was not rated highly in regards to flavour. Mr. Gustavia, you will tell us about how you made your dessert during the finals. Very well. It seems I must teach you upstarts a lesson. Dessert for the finals. So Dover and I cooperated until the finals. I handled the flavour, he was in charge of the design. However, for the finals, I wanted to challenge Sir Master with my own skills. I helped Sir Dover make his entry, but I made mine completely on my own. If the flavour of my entry wasn't good enough, my own lack of training was to blame. How about that, Sir Prosecutor? This is the truth 18 years ago. Can't find any contradictions in his testimony. Well, of course he isn't going to fess up that easily. This guy's been on the run for 18 years, after all. Guess we'll just have to keep on pressing him until he breaks, eh? I was putting like an extra word in there. Yes. So, if the flavour of my entry wasn't good enough, my own lack of skills. If flavour of my entry wasn't good enough, press. Until the finals, I heard that you received high praise for the flavour of your desserts. Was there some sort of accident during the finals? Nothing of the sort. I simply was unable to taste my work due to my taste disorder. My intuition must have been off. That's all. Then, was your intuition fine while making Mr. Dover's entry? How could there be such a huge difference between the finals of the previous day? I'm not getting anywhere at this rate. Should I change the topic? Ask about the semi-final, ask about Mr. Dover, don't change the topic. Ask about the semi-finals. So you're sure there wasn't anything different between the semi-finals and the finals? Yes, that's right. Aside from not cooperating with Mr. Dover, the finals weren't much different from the semi-finals. Oh yeah, this one. Present a family photo, that's gotta be somewhere in here. Family photo, there we go. Objection! There was another difference between the semi-finals and finals. This photo depicts your son. We know he came to visit you up until the finals. That is correct. What does that have to do with anything? Your son, who always came to see you through the semi-finals, was not present for the finals. And then it was only in the finals that your flavour judged poorly. I don't believe this to be a mere coincidence. Your son's visits must have been very important to you, were they not? A father can work miracles when his son is watching. With my son cheering me on, I was able to make the most delicious desserts. This Gustavia sure sounds like a good father, doesn't he? If what he's saying is the whole truth, one could say so. But just hearing his son's cheers wouldn't be enough to change the taste of his desserts. A confectioner confident in his sense of taste develops a taste disorder. It would have been difficult for him to maintain the taste of his desserts. Your son came to cheer you on. Was that really all he did? You seem very doubtful, Sir Prosecutor. In that case, I'll turn this around and ask you. What else could my elementary school son have done besides cheer me on? He tasted your desserts, he stole desserts from us, he made desserts for you. He tasted your desserts. I'm sure your elementary school son would have remembered the taste of your desserts. Of course, my son always loved my desserts. In that case, he would have been able to test your desserts in your place. What did you say? Earlier you told us that you have a taste disorder. Do we need to flash back to this? I've never told this to anyone. Well done. As you say, I developed a taste disorder 18 years ago. Why do we need a flashback to that? No one else knew about your taste disorder. If Mr. Dover had found out, he would have ended your partnership. After all, you were in charge of the flavour. Stop meditating. Your son didn't just cheer you on. He also helped you determine if your desserts tasted correct. Ah, I see. Mr. Dover's dessert was made the day before, so it still tasted good. What you are saying is quite amusing, Sir Prosecutor. You say that my elementary school son assisted me as a taste tester? You are insulting my pride. Your pride? It's true I had no sense of design 18 years ago. However, I won't lose to anyone when it comes to flavour. Claim I would cast aside my pride and rely on my son? Don't get carried away with your foolish conjecture, you upstart. In that case, I'm sure your son can confirm if my theory is mere conjecture. Fortunately for you, I no longer have a son. Well, what? After my taste disorder was cured, I went to train in Zengfa immediately. During that time, I severed all ties with my son. Oh, thank God, I thought you were going to say he's dead. What? Don't tell me you would even abandon your own son. That's not all. Even today, the whereabouts of his son are still unknown. The police have been searching, but they haven't been able to find any traces of him. You wish to confirm your theory? I welcome you to try. Desserts are the only things that are important to me. To regaining my sense of taste, my son no longer mattered. Wow. Order in the court. Mr. Gustavi's actions are certainly inhumane. However, we are not here to judge whether or not he is a good father. Prosecutor Edgeworth, I believe this is your loss. After all, there is no evidence left from 18 years ago that could prove your theories. That seemed like it should have been her saying that and not him. That was weird. Miss Edgeworth, is there nothing we can do? At this rate, we'll never find out the truth. Detective Gumshoe. Where are those results? Oh, I got an email. I wonder whose blood it could have been. I felt forensics to look into it, sir. Ask forensics, sorry. Right, I'll leave it to you, Detective. That's why I said helped. I entrusted Detective Gumshoe with the last piece of evidence. If only I knew who that blood belonged to. Miles, there's still one thing that's bothering Uncle Ray. Was Mr. Gustavi's only reason for coming to the art gallery to check on the body? If he only wanted to confirm the body's presence, he wouldn't have needed to open the case. That's right. Is there a way we can prove this? There is one way. We just need the evidence from Detective Gumshoe. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what are you talking about? Miss Edgeworth! Sorry to give you wings, sir! Just the person I was talking about. Detective Gumshoe, I trust you have the test results? Of course, sir. I just got the report back from the lab. Detective, please be silent. So this is the evidence that Prosecutor Edgeworth was talking about. Huh? Hey, what's this? This is the first I've heard of it. This was a request from me. I asked him to investigate this piece of evidence. Why? Why is everyone always helping you out? I'm the one in charge of the crime scene. Mr. DeBest, I apologise for taking matters into my own hands, but how about we hear his report first? Sure. Detective Gumshoe, what were the results? Here's the report, sir. The traces of blood found in the Gemini sculpture belong to the victim of the poison gas, Dame Gustavia. What are you saying? Good work, Detective Gumshoe. As I thought, my theory was correct. Miss Edgeworth, what do you mean? We too would like an explanation. What on earth does this blood prove? This blood is something the culprit of the I-7 incident tried to conceal. It can't be. This blood was found inside the glass case of the Gemini sculpture. In other words, your blood was found alongside Mr. Dover's body. No! Why would Mr. Gustavia's blood be in a place like that? If you intend to remain silent, then I'll reveal the truth myself. In the Gemini case, aside from the blood, we also found traces of salt and sugar. Salt and blood. And only one of Mr. Dover's sherbet desserts tasted salty. Come to think of it, remember Miss Delicious saying the same thing 18 years ago? Oh, you see, his sherbet was most delicious. Really? Wish I could have eaten some too. There was one piece that was so salty I couldn't eat it. Salty? It's right here in this photo. It was a part of that lyre. That's the Lyre from the Gemini constellation. Exactly. For some reason, salt had been mixed into the Lyre. No other traces of salt were found in Dover's room. In that case, please explain. Where did the salt detected in the Lyre come from? What am I presenting here? Oh, where is it? God, the music's freaking out. There it is, rock salt lamp. This is... the rock salt lamp used as the murder weapon in the I-7 incident? I believe part of this rock salt lamp was mixed in with the sherbet from the Lyre. At the time of the murder, there were 2 rock salt lamps in Mr. Master's room. One of those lamps took Mr. Dover's life. We know that Mr. Dover's blood was left behind on the murderous lamp, however, there were no traces of anyone's blood found at the crime scene in Mr. Master's room. Of course, the killer disposed all of the desserts with traces of blood into the streams of water, right? That's a weird way to phrase that. No other traces of salt were found in Mr. Dover's room. Speaking of which, were the 2 rock salt lamps found in Mr. Delicious's room also broken? Looks like both the lamps and the pillars are broken. Both of their light bulbs are broken. Maybe they were dropped on the floor. We never did figure out why the other rock salt lamp was broken. Maybe Mr. Gustavia's blood was on the other lamp. If your blood was found on the lamps at the crime scene, you would have been suspected. As the culprit, you would have needed to conceal all traces of your blood from the police. Don't tell me he concealed it in the sherbet Lyre. Exactly. The rock salt lamp and his blood were mixed into the sherbet Lyre and hidden inside the glass case. Unlike the fountain's water, the sherbet desserts would not be analysed right away. Perhaps he had planned to dispose of the sherbet when the opportunity presented itself. Then, the reason Mr. Gustavia came to this gallery 18 years ago, the body and the evidence pointing to the killer were both stolen. Even the killer could not have anticipated that. There was no way of knowing when the body and the evidence would be discovered. So he planned to destroy the evidence before the Zodiac Art Gallery's grand opening. Stop meditating. Dame Gustavia, isn't it about time you confessed? You are the true culprit of the I-7 incidents. Monsieur Gustavia, you're the reason Monsieur Master is... Mr. Gustavia. Could it be? After all this time, my crime is finally brought to light. Prosecutors and defense attorneys 18 years ago never even came close. Bravo, bravo, well done, Sir Prosecutor. So you admit that you killed Mr. Dover? It is true, I killed Isaac Dover. But he'd only himself to blame. What do you mean? Dover and I worked together in order to win the contest. No matter who won, we agreed that we'd share the angel's recipe. But, on the day of the finals, he stabbed me in the back. Literally, or... So Dover, this isn't what we agreed to. I'm sorry, Gustavia. The deal is off. What? But I made your desserts for you. I'm the reason you got this far. And what of it? Can you prove that you assisted me in any way? Dover, you were planning to betray me all along. Because of Dover's treachery, I was forced to make my finals entry on my own. It's just as the prosecutor said, my son assisted me every day until the finals. What about your pride as a confectionery artist? A proud chef loses the ability to taste his own creations? That's a feeling an upstart like you would never understand. Mastering the art of dessert making is my reason for being. It is my one and only pride. Committing murder for the sake of pride, that's another feeling I will never understand. To say nothing of abandoning your own son, such a thought disgusts me. Before you judge me, first understand what happened 18 years ago. On the day of the finals, my son never came to assist me. Thinking back on it now, I suppose Dover had a hand in that as well. Huh? What exactly happened to your son? I do not know, but it no longer matters. Ever since that day, my son meant nothing to me. From what I hear, he's still missing. That's awful! Giving up on him like that. Without your son, you had no chance of winning, correct? Yep, and since I was guaranteed to lose, I needed a failsafe. During the afternoon tea time, I made my way to Sir Master's room. I just needed to take a photo of the cure to my taste disorder. It would have all worked out. If only Dover hadn't interfered. Ah, Gustavia. Trying to steal a picture of my prize, are you? That hardly seems sporting. You! Cure for taste disorders. Oh, you have a taste disorder, don't you? And this is Rich, a pastry chef who can't taste. Dover, you... Ah! Puny worm. You are in no position to oppose me. Why, you... When I attempted to hit Dover, he struck me and sent me flying. I crashed into one of the rock salt lamps, and that was when my blood stained on it. So Mr. Dover wasn't the first one to be injured. To conceal my blood, I shaved away part of the rock salt lamp and mixed it into the sherbet. After that, it became a part of the lyre sculpture. So that's how you tried to erase your traces from the crime scene. Dover tried to blackmail me by using his knowledge of my taste disorder. If I didn't want it to become public, I would have to pay him a large sum. So that's the reason why you killed Isaac Dover. Exactly. What reason do I have to let those who obstruct me live? He was the one who drew first blood. I simply gave him his just desserts. So that was his motive. I carried the rock salt lamp that bore my blood into Dover's room. Then I came up with a hiding place where it would not be easily found. I get it. That room contained plenty of tools for sculpting sherbet. The deduction is spot on, Sir Attorney. It was the ideal place to shave away the rock salt. I then proceeded to coat the surface of the sherbet lyre with vast amounts of the salty mixture. But why? Why did you try to pin the crime on Monsieur Master? You are wrong to blame me for that, Lady Catherine. If not for your unnecessary meddling, Sir Master would never have been a suspect. Why do you think I hid the murder weapon and fluorescent cloth in Lady Delicia's room? There's only one reason why you placed the murder weapon in someone else's room. You wanted to pin the crime on Delicia. Yep. Me? Yep, that's correct. Gusty, why? Why me? As one who sought to be the world's best confectioner, I greatly respected Sir Master. It was never my intention to cast suspicion on him. But an insolent woman who dared to sully the contest with fake desserts, I had no problem letting someone like you take the blame for the crime. That makes me sad. If you hadn't snacked on other people's desserts, the body would never have been found. It was when Sir Master would be judging Lady Delicia's room. That's when I finally saw an opportunity to freeze the body, but before I could move the body, Lady Catherine had already discovered it. Why didn't you need to freeze Monsieur Dover's body? Did you need to freeze Monsieur Dover? Why indeed? Monsieur Edgeworth, please tell us. Why would Monsieur Gustavia have needed to freeze the body? Disguise it in Alscoach to throw off the time of death to create a fake. To throw off the time of death. Miss Gustavia intended to freeze the body in order to throw off the time of death. If the time of death had coincided with the tea party, Miss Gustavia would have been suspected. That's correct. Preparations were necessary to freeze the body. While I was preparing in Dover's room, I placed the body in the treasure chest in Sir Master's room. I could think of no better hiding place at the time. But thanks to that gluttonous pharmacist, the lid of the chest broke. Why did you disguise him as an ice sculpture? Once the body was discovered, there would be no time to throw off the time of death. By the time you needed to hide it someplace else. How horrid! How could you hide Monsieur Dover's body within one of his own works? It all would have worked out if the body hadn't been discovered while it was in Sir Master's room. If everything had gone according to plan, Sir Master would never have been arrested. So, because I discovered the body, it's my fault Monsieur Master was... Kate, don't take his words to heart. Huge suspicion hadn't fallen on Mr. Master, Miss Delicious would have taken the fall. No matter who he targeted, the one at fault here is Mr. Gustavia himself. The detective in charge of the initial investigation was also a dunce. To think that he never reported the missing body to the prosecutor. Prosecutor von Karma indicted Mr. Master without knowing the body vanished. I see, that would explain why he looked so flustered at the crime scene. Although it's something that would stand out if you read the official documents. Could someone have intentionally distorted the information? At any rate, von Karma found out about the missing body after he had made his indictment. And if he had let one person be acquitted, he'd have a stain on his much prided perfect record. That's a tongue twister. That's why he concealed the fact that the body was hidden, and that Mr. Master declared guilty. What are you saying? For 18 years, that man has taken the blame for your crimes. Don't you feel anything at all? I don't care what you say. What a monster. I'm arresting him right here, right now, sir. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid that will be impossible. So you figured it out. That's correct. You have no right to sentence me. What? But the culprit's standing right in front of us. Want me to tell you the reason why you can't arrest me? Statute of limitations? It's kind of what I was thinking, but maybe not. Why you can't arrest me? Yep, statute of limitations. I just read it in the guide. It is. Yep, 18 years. So it's a really long time. It's been 18 years since I murdered Dover. The statute of limitations for murder in this country is 15 years, is it not? In other words, it's impossible for you to arrest me. I only confessed my crime because the statute of limitations is expired. The statute of limitations is for murder is 15 years. Miss Edgeworth, is there nothing we can do? As long as the statute of limitations remains, arresting him is impossible. No way! My sincerest apologies, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Neither Mr. Gustavia's testimony nor your logic can be taken as official legal proof. The verdict of the trial 18 years ago cannot be overturned. What about the fact that Mr. Dover's body was hidden? Even if we can't arrest Mr. Gustavia, they should at least earn Mr. Master a retrial. Really? I wonder about that. Overturning a verdict of the goddess of law is much harder than you think. Is the PIC trying to justify the verdict from 18 years ago? How unfortunate, Sir Prosecutor. Is there nothing I can do? Is there no way to continue pursuing Mr. Gustavia? We still get a rebuttal though, which is good. Statute of limitations. We press. It's possible that some of your actions 18 years ago were not affected by the statute. It's been so long, I've got nothing left to hide. Ask me anything you'd like. Very well. Could you explain to me what you did during these past 18 years? Certainly. After the contest, the medicine from the recipe book allowed me to fully cure my taste disorder. I then immediately headed to Zengfa to train my design skills. So he wasn't seen ever since that case because he was in a foreign country. Oh, indeed, and I'm certain that I went abroad to train about 1 year after that case, right before Sir Master's final trial began. And thanks to my training, I am now a confectioner unparalleled in both taste and design. You should not be proud of a position earned through the sacrifices of others. You can't bake a cake without breaking a few eggs. Sacrifices were necessary for my goal. That's horrible. Say what you will. The fact still remains that you can't arrest me. I have to get more information out of Mr. Gustavia. Was there anything of note in his recent testimony? He's training in Zengfa, Mr. Master's final trial, nothing seems important. He's training in Zengfa. Could you please add the details about your training in Zengfa to your testimony? Certainly. Afterwards, I trained in Zengfa to become the world's best confectioner. We present somewhere in this slot is something about... of course it's right there. Statute of limitations. Just that, there we go. One of the conditions regarding the statute of limitations for murder is as follows. If the suspect flees to a foreign country, the time limit is on hold until the suspect returns. So the statute of limitations was suspended while you were overseas. That's right, the statute of limitations stopped while you were training in Zengfa. Indeed, it is possible that the statute of limitations has not expired yet. Mr. Gustavia, please tell us how long you stayed in Zengfa. It would be exactly 3 years. 3 years. Wait. Let's calmly think this over. The case occurred 18 years ago. The statute of limitations is 15 years, and he was away for free. 15 plus 3 is exactly 18 years. I'm sure of it. Miss Edgeworth, we did it. The statute of limitations hasn't expired yet. Exactly 18 years, you say? How amusing. So you realised. Why are you laughing? The statute of limitations still applies. Okay, it's frustrating, but the case occurred in December. It's April now, which means, strictly speaking, the case occurred 18 years and 4 months ago. His stay abroad wasn't quite enough. We were just a few months short. Not enough! That's... Like I said, it's impossible for you to arrest me. He must have known all about this when he confessed to his crime. Prosecutor Edgeworth, it really is a shame. If it was just 1 year earlier, the statute of limitations would not have run out. Those who undermine the Goddess of Law's verdict must bear the burden of their crimes. It seems you were simply incapable. This can't be the end. So, Monsieur Gustavia really is beyond the law's reach. Okay, what are you thinking?
Objection!
If you're thinking of taking matters into your own hands, I implore you to reconsider. There still might be a way to bring this man to justice. What? Miles, remember the facts of the case 18 years ago? Just as you were mistaken earlier, it seems Mr. Gustavia has also overlooked one key detail. Overlooked? He wasn't present during Mr. Master's final trial, so he doesn't know the outcome of the trial. There may yet be a way for you to arrest him. Miles, look over that book on statute of limitations again. 17 years ago, Master was falsely declared guilty for a serious crime. Thanks to that verdict, we aren't out of ammunition just yet. Mr. Shields, you don't mean... Those who undermine the Goddess of Law's verdicts must bear the burden of their crimes. I am Mr. Master's attorney. I can't use his suffering as a weapon in good conscience. For that reason, I'll leave the rest up to you. The trial my father and Von Kammer battled over. Can I use that to arrest Mr. Gustavia? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Objection! My father and Von Kammer. Their paths diverged. One revealed the truth, the other concealed it. The path that I choose is the one that reveals the truth. I see no further reason to prolong this trial. I hereby find Dame Gustavia not guilty.
Objection!
I would have thought he'd say objection before she said not guilty. It's usually how it goes. Like, just before the judge says, you know. Okay, whatever. Overruled. Gustavia will stand in court for his crimes. Do you mean to say you have found a way to arrest Mr. Gustavia? Exactly. I'll show Judge Courtney the evidence that will shatter the statute of limitations. What is it? IS-7 incident file. There it is.
Take that!
The IS-7 case file. Which page are you referring to? The suspect data. The suspect data page. At the trial, Jeffrey Master was found guilty of being an accomplice to murder. And it took 1 year to arrive at this verdict. Right? That is indeed true. This book lists conditions in which the statute of limitations can be put on hold. The first, as I have said earlier, is if the suspect flees to a foreign country. But there's one more. possible accomplices are on trial, the countdown is stopped until the verdict is reached. What are you saying? Mr. Master was found to be an accomplice? That's right, Mr. Master was sentenced after you had left for your trip to Zengfa. And he was found guilty not of being the culprit, but of being an accomplice. But it seems you didn't know that. That's absurd. Mr. Master never committed any crime to begin with. You should certainly know this. Of course we do. That is why we are going to free him. To that end, we will shatter the one remaining obstacle in our way, the statute of limitations. You fled to Zengfa for 3 years, and Jeffrey Master was being tried as an accomplice for 1 year. Put it all together, we see that the total time limit for this case is 19 years. In other words, the statute of limitations is not over for you yet. The goddess of law is unerring in her judgments. However, it seems that the prosecutor at the time was not. I cannot believe it, but it seems like the case will have to be reopened. This is absurd. You cannot arrest me. For the last 18 years, an innocent man has suffered greatly in your stead. Mr. Gustavia, it's now time for you to atone for your crimes. No! I finally earned my place as the greatest confectioner in the world. To achieve that goal, I cast everything aside, even my own son. What a shame. You can't run from your crimes any longer. Damn, that was cool. Dame Gustavia has been taken into custody, sir. Yeah. So, you're up next, right? Yes, I understand. Kate? Everyone, I'm truly sorry for all the trouble I've caused. And thank you very much for catching Monsieur Gustavia. What you did cannot be overlooked, even if the crimes you committed were in response to a past injustice. As a prosecutor, I am terribly sorry for what happened. No, I'm only getting what I deserve, since I was the cause of all this. Kate, will you have me as your attorney? I'm not quite the same useless kid I was 18 years ago. I won't let them find you guilty. Oh, Monsieur Shields! Yes. Thank you so much! Losing my voice already. Come on, give him a hug. Sorry to interrupt, but it's time to go. Yes, alright. Judge Courtney, I can't help but feel that you've been dishonest with me. Dishonest? Whatever do you mean? You said that the verdict could not be overturned, but that was not the case. A reinvestigation and retrial were obviously required as soon as the missing body was found. I have no need to answer you. It seems she doesn't intend to ever give me an answer. Prosecutor Edgeworth, the PIC has you in its sights. They will receive a report on everything you did here today, and you will most likely be required to appear before them. Now then, I shall take my leave. Hold on, Mr. Edgeworth caught the real bad guy. Didn't he do his job as a prosecutor? No matter how things turn out, I will never regret what I did here today. Miss Edgeworth. Hey, Prosecutor Edgeworth. What is it? Why are you always sticking your nose into cases that you're not even involved with? My duty is to reveal the truth. Not only as a prosecutor, it's just who I am. I don't get it. As long as you continue to think that being the best is all that matters, I doubt you ever will. Well, I don't get that either. I'm going home. What was that all about? There is much he still needs to learn. M-I-L-E-Y. What is it? I knew Greggy's son could do it. I think I might be falling for you. Thanks for helping, Jeffy. Well, yo, Edgy, great job solving that case. Well, I was busy drawing, so I really didn't catch all of it. Huh? Where did Katie and Justy run off to? Clarice, you really weren't paying much attention at all, were you? Well, I hate to admit it, but Larry's doodles actually helped us out a few times. I should say something nice to him. Don't glare at me like that! I'm sorry! It was not my intent to glare at you. That patented Edgeworth glare. You're just like your old man. Is that so? Well, then, Uncle Ray's gonna go pay Mr. Master a visit. You guys wanna tag along? I'd be happy to accompany you. Oh, me too! So give the guy the good news. April 2nd, 4:56 PM, Detention Centre, Visitors Room. So this Jeffrey Master, what's he like? Oh, he's a really nice and gentle guy. He's still doing his best to make people happy. He actually cooks desserts for the inmates. Nowadays, all the prisoners and guards look forward to snack time at 3 o'clock. Wow, that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna need a drink, because I'm losing my voice. I want to eat his desserts too. So the chocolate cake we saw in the prison the other day. He was the one who made it. Oh, Gummy, why are you here? I heard everybody was coming to visit, so I escorted Mr. Master myself. Hello, one and all. I am Jeffrey Master. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, at your service. And I'm Mr. Edgeworth's assistant, Kay Faraday. Ho-ho! Oh, I have an update available. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Mr. Master, Miles is your old defense attorney's son. You mean Mr. Gregory's... Your father has done so much for me. And yet I betrayed his good faith when I made the false confession. I've heard the details from Mr. Shields. Mr. Master, I came here today to tell you everything we've learned about 18 years ago. 18 years ago? Kate committed a crime for my sake? Why would she do such a thing? Miss Hall has been trying to prove your innocence for the past 18 years. She was willing to do whatever it took to save you. Kate, she shouldn't have gone through so much trouble for an old man who let her down. Mr. Master, I don't think you realise just how much Miss Hall cares for you. I have something here that clearly proves the two of you share an unbreakable bond. An unbreakable bond? Proof of the bond between Jeffrey Master and Catherine Hall. This should give Mr. Master some peace of mind. Where is it? Chocolates!
Take that!
These chocolates. Did Kate make them? She did. They're really sweet and tasty. She's been making these chocolates for the past 18 years, so that she could give them to you whenever you returned. Kate... I'm sure they are very, very sweet. Yep, they truly are. Unfortunately, I cannot give them to you now, but... I can hand them over later in secret, pal. It is against the rules, but right now I don't have the authority to stop him. Oh, thank you very much. Say, you remind me of an old friend. Do you know of a Detective Bad? Of course I do. Detective Bad is my #1 role model, pal. How uncanny. Talk about fate. Mr. Master, it's looking like we'll be able to get you out soon. I can only apologise that it took 18 years to do so. Raymond, I'm the one who should be apologising. No, that's not it. What I really should be saying is... Thank you. Mr. Master, now it's my turn to wait for Kate. I'll make her favourite sweets every day until she returns. Please look after her, Raymond. You got it. The I-7 incident, the case I inherited from my father. After 18 long years, it's finally coming to a close. It took over an hour to do so. Miles, thanks for today. I'm sorry for leaving that final decision to you. No, I made a decision of my own free will. Eh? What are you talking about? To arrest Gustavia, we had no choice but to use Mr. Master's false charge. To use Mr. Master's false charge, which I was originally supposed to protect him from, the attorney inside of me simply could not do it. So that's how it was. But, after this, Uncle Ray is going to try to clear away that false charge as well. Yep, understand. What? But if they find out about the false charge, they won't be able to arrest Mr. Gustavia, right? That's true. It sure is a contradiction in the law. The way the law is right now isn't always completely right. A contradiction in the law. Well, who knows what'll happen. The law evolves and grows, just like all of us do. Just like Uncle Ray and Miles have grown up, you know? People and the law both grow. Miles, to fight crime as a prosecutor, or to save people as a defense attorney, I want you to think carefully about how you want to live your life from now on. I will. Well, if you ask Uncle Ray, you'll always be welcome down at the office. Alright then, looks like it's time for Uncle Ray to get going. Next time I see you, I'll be sure to thank you again. Really though, thanks for today. I wonder if we will see him again in this game. Mr. Shields seemed to be in a bit of a hurry. Indeed. I should be the one thanking him. I was able to face my father's last case because of him. When I was young, I wanted to become a great defense attorney, like my father. However, under Prosecutor von Karma, I learned the ways of a prosecutor. Thanks to a certain friend, I was able to discover my own path in life. A certain friend. However, right now there are forces trying to take me off the prosecutor's path. That's the name of the game. Maybe now is the perfect time to think about how I should live my life. April 2nd, 7:29 PM. Edgeworth Law Offices. Gregory. I'm sorry that it took so long. It may have taken 18 years, but finally, we've proven Mr. Master's innocence. Miles, your son, helped me with that. The way he fought for the truth, he was just like you, Gregory. I'm still not the kind of attorney you were, but I will forever carry on the convictions I inherited from you. And if I can, together with him, to fight crime as a prosecutor, to save people as a defense attorney. The path I choose is the end. That's the path he chose, the end. And there we go, the end of the Inherited Turnabout. Finally, I finished it after not recording for 3 months. I will get through this game, I'll finish it. And I did start Call of Duty 2 as well, but I don't know if I'll finish that. I have recorded a bunch of episodes that I haven't edited and uploaded, so I could do that and just leave it, but we'll see. But I want to get this game finished so I can have all the Destiny games on my channel. And then I'll stop doing YouTube, I guess. Which has really helped me get back into actually just playing games and not thinking about recording them. Anyway, so next time, I have no idea what the next case is. Oh, there it is. The Forgotten Turnabout. So we'll see what happens there. Apparently something's going to be forgot, and maybe we'll remember it. We'll see. So, thank you for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Goodbye.